What's going on, everybody? Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA and ProWrestling30.com. I'm here tonight. It is our Wednesday show, Evil and Intoxicated. I'm here, of course, again, live with Ted Check. Ted, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Evil Eddie, what's up? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How's your week going?
Oh, it's going great, man. I just kind of finished up the summer with lacrosse. My sons play lacrosse, and have you ever watched the sport?
Oh, of course. And anyone who is new listening to the show, you're listening to Evil and Intoxicated. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. You can check that out on iTunes and follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. You can find this guy right here on YouTube. His MMA clips are infamous. Or infamous isn't a good word to use. Infamous is kind of used to, like, you know, he's like, he's into mischief, right? Like if you're infamous, you're into mischief.
Right. It's like you got it like a bad rep or something like that.
So I shouldn't say infamous.
Then you can say it. I don't care.
But yeah, guys, you can find his videos on YouTube, and we come every Wednesday night live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and we give you guys an update of everything going on in the MMA world. Of course, this weekend we have a new champion once again, Tyron Woodley. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into our five-minute rounds with everybody. We're going to cover the welterweight division, UFC 201, of course. We're going to talk about UFC 202, and that's when things are going to get interesting because there was a little surprise visit on Conan O'Brien this week, and we'll talk about that and some new rule changes as well. And Ted's going to give everybody the rundown on that. If this is your first time listening, guys, there is the open chat room, so check that out. Ask us questions if you have anything you want to ask in the middle of what we're talking about. That's no problem. We will answer it in a second. And also, guys, the new Pure Evil MMA t-shirts are now available for everybody, so check those out on my Twitter page and just email me. I'll make the link at the bottom. But Ted, you said you had a lacrosse game this week, boss.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
A lot better.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so I was just saying, we kind of finished up the summer season, and it's my second favorite sport, I have to say. Of course, MMA being the first, but yeah, my sons play it, and I mean, it's a great sport because it's a contact sport, and you've got kids that are well, my older son is in high school, so you got kids that are getting their man strength, and then you give them sticks and you tell them to run and beat the hell out of each other, so it's great. So yeah, we just kind of finished that up, and I got a question for you, Eddie. Have you seen this crazy trailer for Sausage Party?
Yeah,
this movie.
I did, and I was wondering if it was a Disney movie at first, but it's like completely perverted. But it looks like it's trying to grab the attention of younger kids, obviously, because it's food.
Well, yeah, but it's an R-rated movie.
Yeah,
It's the first animated R-rated movie apparently that's been mass distributed. So I mean, just for those who haven't seen it, you should see it. Watch the Red Band trailer, and I mean, basically, it's what if you had what if you had fruit and talk? What if your food could talk, and then what happens when they realize, once they get to your house, what happens when you start chopping them up and everything like that? So. Yep, it's awesome.
And
Seth
of course,
Rogen.
like, Disney's covered everything to freak out your childhood, whether it was your toys talking when you were sleeping, or your imaginary characters in your head with that new Inside Out movie.
Right.
And then this movie, you would think it's for kids because it's animated, but yeah, I saw that, Ted. I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Disney. I'm not sure about that.
I don't think it's Disney.
Yeah.
It looks like it is.
Right. It looks like they could have done it. It's like what if Pixar was taken over by by drug addicts and rogue movie makers?
It's like Family Guy wrote a Disney movie.
Yeah, there you go. Or Adult Swim. Something like that.
Dude, and Angie was like, if I was a little kid, that would freak me out to think that like my food talks. You know what I mean?
Right, and that you can hurt your food every time you bite into it.
Oh, and dude, before I get into the show, I know. For the listeners out there who don't listen to my podcast, something so funny happened this week. Up here in the Northeast, it gets rainy, and then you'll see the spiders make these webs everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
the other night I was going out on the deck to, you know, drink my coffee or whatever and just relax. And I opened like the screen door and there's a huge spider web and a juicy spider in the middle of it. And I was like, oh shit, I can't go out there. And I told Angie Jabs, and she was like half asleep, so didn't really like, you know, listen. So the next morning we're about to leave the house, dude. She runs right out the door, face full of spider web.
Oh man!
So I posted that,
and the juicy spider went.
And dude,
where did the spider go? Right in the mouth?
I said this on the podcast. The look on my face must have made her freak out even more because I was like, it was great. But yeah, I actually caught a picture of it too. She went crazy thinking it was in her hair. So I took a picture of it. That's up on my Instagram, guys. That's also at evil_echo. That's EVIL. You can see it down here in the corner, right over there. So, all right, Ted, it was a crazy weekend. We have a new champion, and we're going to discuss that in a little while as well. You know, the belt was changed 7 times in 2016. So let's start off the 5-minute rounds. And to give you guys a quick review of what these topics are, Ted, in a quick 15 seconds, just list off the 5 rounds for everybody really quick.
All right. UFC 201 review. Then we go into
number 1.
Yes. And then round 2, UFC Fight Night 92. 3 of the top fights, and then another fight from the from Fight Pass. Round 3 is the welterweight division. That whole mess. Round 4, Nate Diaz makes the rounds on the late night talk shows. And round 5 is the rules.
All right.
Right? Am I right? That's 5.
I got the stop clock right here. Flashbacks of episode 1. Right, Ted? Flashbacks of episode 1.
Oh, God. That is bright.
All right, so the clock starts now. We're going to talk about UFC 201. Ted, the clock starts now. What was your take on UFC 201? What stood out to you on the main card before we talk about co-main or Robbie Lawler's fight?
Oh, I loved all the fights. Of course, Woodley and Lawler, Kowalkiewicz and Namajunas, Ellenberger, Matt Brown, Krylov, and Ed Herman. I'm thoroughly entertained by the whole thing. It was one of these. I think we said this last week, or I said this last week. Maybe it didn't have all of. It had some big names, but. These kinds of fights, they can still be entertaining. It wasn't UFC 200.
What about our boy Jake Ellenberger, man? Our boy Jake Ellenberger was back against the wall, dude. Don't mess with Jake Ellenberger when his back's against the wall. That's a Cinderella
story right there. Yeah, if you want to go through that right now, absolutely. That's the Cinderella story right there, because he had been cut by the UFC. He got his pink slip. And he flew out to Vegas and said, Dana White, I need to meet with you.
One more chance.
So he met with Dana White, man-to-man, one-on-one, and said, give me one more shot. I will not disappoint you. And they said, okay, you're getting Matt Brown. You're getting Matt the Immortal Brown, a man who once was on a 7-fight win streak. And,
the way that Matt Brown came out originally, he ran out when that first bell rang off. He ran out, and Ellenberger was like, oh, shit, I guess it's on, and drops him right there from the start.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, Ellenberger, of course, it all ends with that huge liver kick, and you could even hear Brown just, and once that happens, it's over.
Oh, you could see the pain on his face. Those things are deadly. So, yeah, that was probably, aside from Woodley's win, that was, one of the major points one of the major takeaways from the evening, for sure.
And also, Krylov with an honorable mention with the knockout in the second. But we're at 2 minutes right now. Let's talk about Rose Namajunas and Carolina Kowalkiewicz.
Yeah, that was.
Off to you?
Well, let's see. I'm gonna look at my notes right here. You had I gave the first round to Namajunas, and then the next 2. To Carolina, so she got the win in my book, and in the judges, for the 3 judges, they gave her a split decision win. I thought she fought a very smart fight against a tough opponent in Rose. Rose over the top with the right, trying to go to the ground. Carolina with the clinch, knees to the body,
Dude,
elbows.
that was badass. That's where problems started, was when that clinch happened, and she was literally pulling her. It was bad. That's when it all, it took a lot out of Rose, and the whole fight changed from that moment on. And of course, Rose, the argument was coming into this fight that, like I said, Tisha Torres was her last fight, and I didn't think that she was quite ready for Joanna yet. So in a way, I'm kind of happy that she didn't win this fight and is not getting the title shot, just because I feel like she has so much more potential that she's about to break through with.
Well, here's a question for you then. Do you think Carolina is ready for Joanna? Because that's what it looks like it's going to happen.
When they were amateurs, they fought, and they said this before, and they have to do this in Poland, if anything. I do think Carolina is ready for it, because her pressure, not her power. She says Polish power versus Polish power. I'm not going to agree with that. It is Polish power versus Polish pressure here.
I love it, man.
You know, that clinch.
Yeah, they got to do it either in Warsaw or Krakow, something like that.
What was that?
Sorry, Eddie, I missed that last part. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that clinch. I was really impressed with that clinch, and the whole fight changed after that point. And Rose didn't know what to do, but she held on, bit down, but didn't get the fight the way she wanted it to go. But now it is going to be Polish power versus Polish pressure.
Yep. Yeah, I was saying that they got to do it in Poland. You're right. You're absolutely right. Either in Warsaw or Krakow, a major city in Poland for sure. Have to, help give it to the fans. The fans deserve it, and the fighters deserve it. So yeah, let's have it over there.
All right, we got about 30 seconds. We have a new champion to claim the throne.
Right, yeah, let's talk about that.
Robbie Lawler out.
Yeah, Tyron Woodley. I mean, Robbie Lawler was hanging back. Why was he hanging back? That's the question that everybody seems to, be talking about here. Is why was he doing that? Why was he not applying pressure? And I mean, but when you look at it, you think, oh, he was wary of Tyron Woodley's power and his takedown.
Definitely.
That's why. But he paid for it. Tyron Woodley has that one punch knockout power, and
dude, he did
now
this beautiful
we've got
feint. I don't know if you caught it, Ted. I'm sure you did if you watched the replay, but definitely watch the replay again, because he does this beautiful feint where he's coming in like this, switches it up, and then Robbie changes direction, and then he catches him the same way he came in and tricked him. That was nice.
Tricky, yeah. And Robbie Lawler is a brawler. He's not a very tactical fighter. He's more of a blood and guts fighter, and that's a great thing. I loved him when he was champ. I love watching the guy fight. But there's a lot of things you can do strategy-wise in MMA, and he wasn't really big on all that. Now there are other fighters out there that are more savvy in terms of strategy, and so we'll have to see how they match up with Tyron Woodley.
Definitely, and I know that you guys are really curious about that, and I know it's the end of the round now, so that's the end of round number 1. We're gonna get into that in a little while, just to run right back over that. And what happened in that fight afterwards. Tyron Woodley, of course, talking to Wonderboy. But let's get into round 2. Start it off, Ted.
Yeah. UFC Fight Night 92. That's the event that's this weekend. We just got through 201. Now we get another one. It's a free fight, and free is from me. So why not? At the top, yeah. At the top, we've got Yair Rodriguez versus Alex Caceres. El Pantera versus Bruce.
That's going to be so exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Both those guys are unpredictable, and they do these crazy, crazy moves.
Oh, yeah. They're the kings of the spinning shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know. We're just going to see two dudes just, like, spinning around. You know what I mean?
It's going to be it's
like, oh, yeah. I mean, the thing, when I look at this fight, though, believe it or not, Bruce Leroy, at only 28 years old, he has got a lot more experience than Rodriguez. He's at 12-8, he's had probably more than half of his fights in the UFC because he was an Ultimate Fighter.
Oh yeah, of course. His last fight, man, he took that on short notice, and in the first round he was kind of stiff. But dude, the second and third round were fireworks. He was throwing all sorts of kicks, spin moves, spinning back fist, 360 jump kicks.
Yep.
All sorts.
Yeah,
of stuff.
I mean, and Rodriguez has got spinning back fist, and he's got like the capo kick.
Well, yeah, he just beat
rolling.
Team Alpha Male. He just beat over at
His last fight was a flying head kick against Andre Feely.
Yeah, touchy-feely.
Touchy-feely.
Yeah, touchy-feely.
Yeah. So, he's won. Rodriguez has won all of his fights in the UFC. He's had 4 fights in the UFC. He's won all of them.
Oh.
But, I mean, let me ask you. How do you see this one going?
I'm looking at that now. He's 8-1. Impressive, man.
Right.
And then, of course, Dennis Bermudez also is the co-main event. I don't want to go by this round without mentioning, of course, Dennis Bermudez. The Menace.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right, Dennis Bermudez versus Honey Jason. And Dennis was once on a 7-fight win streak. Great guy, Dennis Bermudez. I've interviewed him before.
And he's coming off a win to someone else who's fighting that night, Kawajiri, who's going to be fighting Cub Swanson.
You are correct. Yeah, but Bermudez versus Jason, that's going to be a good one, too. Jason, his last fight was a no contest against Damon Jackson. And that was made a no contest because Jason tested positive for a banned diuretic.
Really?
So he's coming off of a suspension. So it would do him well to get a win after coming off of a suspension. But I think Bermudez has got other plans. He's won 1 fight after coming off 2 losses. So he's looking to build momentum and get another big winning streak back. How do you see it going?
I don't know. Dennis Bermudez is one hell of it. You're talking about Dennis Bermudez, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, why don't we? I was trying to get your opinion on Rodriguez versus Caceres.
Okay.
Let's
I'm
do
going
that
with
one.
Bruce Leroy here on the main event. I think that he's shown a lot of improvements. He has a lot of tactics and stuff that we haven't even seen him use yet in the octagon. I think he's just starting to get comfortable and find his peace of mind. And if you watch his last interview after his fight that he just took on short notice, he talks about finding his zen right before he went into the octagon, where he believes in like a whole bunch of not psychedelic stuff, but like stuff to get in touch with your soul, your inside, your third eye, I guess you can say. And he's a true believer in that, and of course I'm a true believer in that. And he's a very exciting fighter, and I'm sticking with him to win this by submission.
By submission, okay. Well, I'm going to go with Rodriguez then. I'm going to say Rodriguez by knockout.
And you know what? Rodriguez has been.
I'm going young gun.
Rodriguez has been taking those chances and pulling the trigger. Of course, that fight with Touchy-Feely that he just had, he won by a flying knee. And everyone, at least me, I had Andre Feely winning that fight. And man, I didn't see that coming. It just stopped the fight in a split second. It seemed like he was waiting for it. Like he pushed it so many times. So, all right, that is going to be this weekend. That is going to be on Saturday, correct, Ted?
I believe so. Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's move on to topic number 3. Round 3, Ted.
Oh. Okay, topic number 3, the welterweight division.
Yep, let's keep it moving.
We saw Tyron Woodley. We saw Tyron Woodley win the title.
Yep.
And it was almost immediately after that. They put him on Fox Sports 1, and Wonderboy Thompson was a commentator. And so they had a split screen, and Wonderboy's talking to Woodley, and he's saying, hey, how about that? He was kind of going like this. He's like, how about that title shot? And Woodley says, oh, well, you want to fight Lawler so bad. Why don't you go fight Lawler? I want to fight Nick Diaz at UFC 202. You know?
And do you think that was right, Ted? Do you think that was right of him to say that? Like, does Wonderboy not deserve
you know,
it?
I mean, Woodley, is butthurt. Let's put it that way. He's butthurt because Thompson didn't pick him to win the fight against Lawler. He's salty. I honestly do. I don't think he's necessarily ducking Wonderboy. I mean, he's a confident guy. I don't think he's afraid of Wonderboy, but I think he's salty about it. So he's like, go do that. And he's. I think that Woodley thinks that he already has clout. He called himself an OG, an original gangster. It's like, dude, you just won the title.
Like,
you ain't no OG.
You
just won the after, right after what, like a 15 or 18-month layoff. You ain't no OG, so you don't get to call the shots as to who you're going to fight next. Now he wants to fight Diaz, and then you got GSP who wants to fight Woodley.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead.
When I was watching that, I was like, why do we always see these champs come in here and start, saying who they want to fight next? But really, here, he was just being asked, and it was kind of set up. You got Wonderboy there in studio already. You got Woodley, who's also part of that crew on FS1. So, of course, they kind of like set that up. And, of course, Woodley, I don't think wants to fight Wonderboy because he's definitely a dangerous opponent in the lights of Woodley's style, without a doubt. And my argument here is you cannot tell Wonderboy that he does not deserve the title shot when he's paid his dues and he fought Johnny Hendricks and destroyed him in that first round. We've never seen that happen before. And then two, we throw him in there against Rory McDonald. Here you go. Here's Rory McDonald. If you get through him, then we'll talk about Robbie Lawler. Okay, goes in there, stuns it. Not to mention, in Rory McDonald's home in Canada. So how are you going to turn him down unless you set this fight with Woodley up and GSP, like he says, next month?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Woodley wants Nick Diaz at 202 because he thinks he's going to get, he's going to get a huge payday. He's going to be able to renegotiate his contract and get this massive payday, because it's on the Conor and Nate Diaz card. I mean, I could see the UFC doing that from a business standpoint. It makes sense. But so if they do that and Woodley loses, we could be looking at the shortest title reign in UFC history, maybe?
And we could see
he wins it
at brothers just kicking ass. Just both Diaz brothers.
I don't know about that. I'm picking Conor to win at 202.
And we're going to get into that in a second. But that would just be crazy to have both Diaz brothers on these huge cards. Diaz, of course, I don't like this matchup, Ted, because I don't want him to come back in and go for the title shot. I don't like that. Of course, his last fight was against Anderson Silva, which now I'm pretty sure it was revoked and it was a no contest, correct?
I believe so, yeah, because, I mean, Anderson Silva tested positive for that crazy,
Viagra?
Whatever it was, like a Viagra from Thailand. And then Nick Diaz popped for weed. So, the whole thing was a mess. But so you got GSP in the mix, but then Thompson is saying, hey, man, one way or another, I'm going to fight Woodley at 205 in Madison Square Garden. So the whole thing is just all screwed up, and we need the UFC to swoop in and make a decision. Make a decision quickly because we're all going nuts over who the next opponent Woodley is going to be.
Well, my last comment before we go on this topic was that Wonderboy did say he wants this fight in November. So therefore, if Woodley did want to get that fight, and if the UFC wanted to set that up next month, and Woodley's ready to do it, why not set that up? Let me know what you guys think in the chat room. Of course, we do the show every Wednesday. If you're just tuning in, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. That's Ted Check. We do the show every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. And Ted, do you want to add any last comment on this topic before moving on to the next round?
Well, yeah, what I think is going to happen. God, I mean, okay. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to fit this fight in at 202. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to put him on the. Yeah, I think they're going to put him on the 205 card. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be Wonderboy. I actually do think it's going to be Wonderboy, much to Woodley's chagrin. and that's gonna get him even more enraged. He's gonna get angry that the UFC set him up with Wonderboy. So we're just gonna see more of the two of them going at it, and that's gonna make for great hype for the fight.
You know
That's
what?
my prediction.
That's a money fight too. Oh, I'm sorry, but that's a money fight as well. Woodley cannot say that Wonderboy versus him wouldn't be a money fight. All right, so.
Oh yeah, he's popular.
Oh yeah, and especially with what he's been doing lately. All right, so topic. What we're on round 3, correct?
No, 4.
Oh, all right. Start the round off.
4. Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz.
Nick
What's
Diaz?
that?
Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz?
Nate.
Okay, Nate. Well, this
Nate
week
making the rounds at the night talk shows.
Nate was on Conan O'Brien this week. In case you guys didn't miss it, I don't know what part of the world you are, but Nate Diaz was in Conan O'Brien, and it was his night to shine, so he thought. But halfway through the show, he has a little surprise caller from Conor McGregor, of course. And Conor pretty much runs down saying, I hope Nate's not there in that dirty black t-shirt. I'm taking this fight very seriously, and I'm coming to whoop Nate's ass. And Nate replies, you know what? The truth has came out, and it was going to come out again at UFC 202. Did you catch this clip, Ted?
Oh, I saw it. Absolutely. Yeah, it seemed like Nate was surprised that. I mean, what would have been even a greater surprise would have been if Conor came out there in person. But even when they played that video, he was still surprised at that. And yeah, I mean, his response was kind of, you know, like he didn't have like a great comeback, which happens when you get surprised by something, right? I mean, when you're taken aback by something. Yeah, you can't always think of stuff quickly. But he did take to Twitter later on and say that you know, he was screwed over by the UFC once again, and so he felt like he was Pearl Harbored by this you know, little video of Conor that they showed there.
And of course,
so it made me, you know, that kind of affected him.
Definitely, and he had no idea that Conor was going to be on there, and felt like the UFC really set him up here, and he really was not expecting it at all. And it kind of got me really fired up and excited about this fight. And we all talked about, you know, was Conor ever in Nate's head? I think he's starting to get in Nate's head now, Ted. And I'm going to play the clip really quick for everybody who did not hear the Conan O'Brien clip.
Conor couldn't join us tonight. You know, you guys are going to go at each other pretty soon. People were talking about this, but he did send a message. He sent a message, and we're going to play it for you right now.
What's up, Conan? Sorry I couldn't make the show this week, but as a present to you, I sent Nate in my place. Nate, I just hope he's not up on that stage wearing that stupid black t-shirt he's never out of. The boy's been wearing that same damn t-shirt for the past 20 years or something. And I'm taking this contest very, very seriously. I've flown in specific body types to replicate Nate's skinny, tall frame. The boy won the lotto the last time. He knows it. I know it. Well, August 20th, I get my revenge, and I look forward to it.
Wow, okay. So, Conor is saying... You got the t-shirt on underneath,
black
don't you?
t-shirt.
Yeah. Conor is saying you won the lottery last time. You got lucky. How do you respond?
Truth came out, and it's coming. The truth will be August 20th when it goes down again.
So there he is, and we all know that the Diaz brothers aren't really good with public speaking, and I give Nate props because he was caught off guard here with Conor coming on, and he got everyone hyped. But afterwards, he did seem a little pissed off, like you mentioned. He took to Twitter saying, "The UFC screwed me again" or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. You know, that they stabbed him in the back, or they screwed him over, or whatever. But I guess that's how. I guess nobody informed him. Hey, Nate, this is going to be on. But then you got to see his natural reaction to it. I mean, otherwise
he started
would have,
unbuttoning his shirt.
you know, had time to prepare for it. And
he started unbuttoning that shirt to show him that
otherwise,
he was wearing that was great. So, and his brother this week, suspension was lifted. So now we have Nate and Nick both active and I'm excited to see
Right.
Nick back in there, man.
Me
So
too.
the question is,
Did you-
Ted, the question is, what's next for him now that he's back?
What's next for Nick? Well, I mean, obviously we got the Woodley thing, possibly, but like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Woodley and Wonderboy. Geez, I mean, the guy could do. He says he only wants the big fights. He's not really. He doesn't seem very concerned about titles. He just wants the money. We could see him. We're going to see him somewhere before the end of the year. I feel pretty certain. You know what I mean? They'll get him a fight. They'll get him a big fight. I don't know. He doesn't want Robbie Lawler because Lawler just lost. You know,
And he's
we already know
Lawler.
Nick. He
already has
beat
a
him years
knockout
ago. Beat him
over
like 10 years ago. Yeah, that was like a decade ago.
Yeah.
But he was asked that specifically, and he said, "No, I don't want him because he lost." So I mean, you know, and well, check this out. Something just occurred to me. He says, "Oh, I was drugged. I was drugged in that fight with GSP." So he doesn't feel he got a fair
before
shake
you
there.
get into that, make sure you remind everyone who doesn't know what you're talking about right now. That fight.
Oh, between Nick Diaz and GSP.
Yeah, what you're
There
what
we-
you're talking about. In case there's people who don't know what fight you're talking about.
Right. Well, I'm talking about Nick Diaz fighting GSP. So he's Nick Diaz was saying that he got drugged, and we're going to talk about that more later. But what I was going to say right now was that maybe that's the fight to make. Maybe that's the fight: Nick Diaz versus GSP too.
Because
What do you think?
he's saying he got drugged in that last fight, it wasn't fair. And then of course the oil thing about GSP, everyone says that he oils himself up. All those speculations.
Yeah, there was one time. Yeah, they call that Greasegate.
Greasegate. All right, if,
Right, like Watergate, Greasegate.
You know, so you want him to come back at this weight division? You don't, because he was talking about fighting Bisping for a little while.
He could do either. Yeah, he can. He can easily make 170 or 185. He's one of those unique fighters that can jump back and forth seemingly without much of a problem. So either way. But I would like to see him. He only wants the big fights. GSP wants the big fights. Make Nick Diaz versus GSP 2. You heard it here first. Boom.
And of course, I think we fast forward over UFC 202 talk, but do you want to cover that really quick?
Well, what about we kind of wanted to wrap up topic number 4 with Nate Diaz on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, hit it.
Yeah, so he was on Jimmy Kimmel. It was a little segment that they did where they right outside the studio, they were talking with people, and they said, "Hey, who do you think's going to win?" And then if anybody said, "I think Conor's going to win," they had Nate Diaz come out of the door there and stand right behind him and maybe give him a little bump with the shoulder and be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, they'll be like, "Whoa, it's Nate Diaz. That's Nate Diaz." You know, it was hilarious. It was funny. What I thought would have been even better is if, you know, Nate Diaz comes out, gives somebody the bump, says what's up, and then Conor comes out and bumps Nate and goes, "Oh, what's up?" Now that would have been something.
And you know, a lot of the talk was,
This would have been great.
and I just mentioned this before, a lot of the talk was, is Conor going to be able to get into Nate's head? And I think what happened on Conan definitely started warming him up because he caught him off guard. And I think we did see him get in Nate's head for the first time.
A little bit there with help from the UFC. Yeah. So
With help
we'll
from
just
the
we'll have to see if that continues. I mean, Conor's going to have to be very creative with what he does if he wants to try to do more of that psychological warfare, because the usual stuff just doesn't work with Nate. He, as I said before, he's got too much of that weed clouding up his head. You can't get in there. You know what I mean? It's tough to get in his head.
Yeah. What's going on in the chat room, Ted? There's a lot of people in there. Wow.
There's people in the chat room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Pat back. Pat back is back. Pat wants to see Nick Diaz versus Wonderboy. Okay, that's okay. And then my question to Pat would be then, okay, so if Diaz takes on Wonderboy, who does Woodley get? Does Woodley get GSP? Dana keeps stating GSP will remain retired. Diaz has issues. This is somebody named God Complex. Nick Diaz has issues. Yes, he does. Nick Diaz versus Lawler, Anderson versus GSP. Well, yeah, that's Sam. Anderson versus GSP. We talked about that fight for years. There was talk of that at a catchweight. You know, because GSP was the 170 champ, Anderson was the middleweight champ. Meet somewhere in the middle, and that fight never materialized. And then, of course, GSP retired. So it still could be a possibility.
And of course, Sam, you say right
God
now,
Complex can't get in someone's head who doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give an F. He's right.
That's what I was trying to say, Ted.
I got you.
But yeah, just a reminder for anyone who's just tuning in. I'm Woodley from Pure Evil MMA and ProWrestlingAuthority.com. That is Ted Check from Ted Check on YouTube. You can find him on YouTube. Just type in Ted Check. That's not CHECH. That's CZECH. And once again, guys, a fresh reminder. This show isn't about us. This show is about us as a full, you guys in the chat room, you guys out there on Twitter, you guys who are listening to the podcast, any questions that you guys have for me or Ted, definitely ask away. We are here for you to get your word out, to make, because sometimes we can find ourselves cornered in a situation where we might not see the situation as clearly as we could. And when you guys ask something or say something about something, it could change our whole perspective on the whole situation. So we do the show every Wednesday night. The show is about you guys. So follow us on Twitter, iTunes, podcast, Pure Evil MMA every week. And of course here every Wednesday night. So all right, Ted, was that the last round for 5-round topics, or are we going to discuss welterweight division?
We got one more, Eddie. And we can cut this short if we need to, but we got to talk about the rules. There's some interesting things here. Rules are rules. They're not exactly exciting, but I'll try to make it exciting. They had this meeting of the Association of Boxing Commissions, and the ABC actually governs MMA as well. And that's another issue. They're thinking about changing the name of the commission. But the main things, the takeaways from the meeting, were they talked about clarification of the word effectiveness. You know how they talk about effective striking and effective grappling? What exactly does that mean? They were talking about, a fighter getting a takedown, a submission attempt, achieving an advantageous position, getting a sweep. The impact of the fighter's actions. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about effective. What impact does what they do, how does that impact their opponent? Then they went on to eye pokes.
And that's very important. I'm really happy that they are talking about this and they are making some changes here. So what's new there?
Yeah. Now with the eye poke, it's actually, I say eye pokes, but what they really meant was now you can't even extend your hand to your opponent's face. You can't, fighters, John Jones does like this too. Not just John Jones, but you do this to kind of measure. You can't do that anymore. Not to an opponent's face. You can do it to their midsection if you want. Although I can't imagine why, but you can't stick your fingers in an opponent's face. That's going to be a foul.
So what? Oh, it says it's a foul. Which exactly is what though? Like if you get two fouls, that equals 1 point.
No, I think a foul is the same as a point deduction. I think.
Oh. Okay.
If the ref calls you on it, I mean the ref has the discretion of warning you.
Yep.
You'll like a fence grab. You'll hear a ref say, "Get your hands off the fence. Get your hands off the fence," and then I guess it's up to the ref. Maybe they warn you twice and then dock the point. But the way I understand it is this is now a foul, which means it could result in a point deduction if the ref decides. It's at their discretion. So that's another thing. Then they talked about grounded fighters. You know how fighters like to stick one finger down on, like they're standing on their 2 feet, but then they'll put one
to
finger
say that
on the
they're
ground.
grounded so they can't get kneed.
Right. You can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. You got to have your palms, both palms down on the ground with your feet, or your fists. Okay? Or your okay. Minion is saying 3 warnings for a foul.
Thank you, Minion. Thank you.
That's what he's saying. Okay, I'll go with that. I don't have all the rules in my head, so.
And speaking of Minion McGregor, guys, I just want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to to Minion. I pulled it up right now. You guys can all see it. Our new Evil and Intoxicated logo made by yours truly. Right down there, Minion McGregor. Thank you so much. I love this logo. Tell me what you guys think about it. It lets everyone know every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, fan interactive MMA show, which is the most important part about this, guys. Me and Ted can just do our shows whenever we want. This show is for you guys. Me and Ted got together to make a show for fans on YouTube to come together and finally be heard every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Thank you, McGregor. Minion McGregor.
Whatever it is. Minion.
So Ted, you saw the logo. How do you like your character, man? It looks just like you.
Oh yeah, I love it, man. You know, the only thing is we might have to change it because I'm thinking about growing my beard back. I had one, and I shaved off like a couple months ago. I mean, you know, then we'll have 2 bearded guys. I mean, I don't know, but I liked it. I liked it a lot, and like an idiot, I shaved it off. So I'm thinking about maybe in November. For No Shave November, I'm going to grow it back, and then just keep it. But I mean, you got like the full thing. You got like the, you know, dude, you got it hanging down.
I've had a beard since 8th grade, though.
Nice. Yeah, no, but I love the logo. I love the fire and the ice kind of thing. You know, the blue and the red. I love the whole thing.
We wanted to bring out the evil, and of course, Intoxicate. Ted stands for Ted's name. Obviously, and it's intoxicating on MMA, pretty much. So the fire, the ice, we love it. Thank you, Minion. Really appreciate this a lot. It came out amazing. So all right, Ted, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up the new rules.
Oh yeah, one last thing, real quick. Heel kicks. You know, like when you're in guard, when a fighter's in guard and they slam their heels into an opponent's kidneys.
Yeah.
It is not a foul anymore. Early UFC, they used to do that, and then they made it a foul. It's not a foul anymore to heel kick to the kidney. And it's not a foul if you want to grab somebody's clavicle. It's not a foul anymore if you want to do that.
That is right here for everyone who doesn't know. This is your clavicle.
Yeah, that's your clavicle. Yep. Yeah. So those are the rules. And New Jersey had a problem with some of those rules, and they made it known to everybody at the meeting, and then people got angry. Randy Couture got angry because he said, "Oh, you're talking down to the fighters. You're making it seem like we don't know what we're talking about, and that we don't want rules, but we actually do want rules." And so it kind of got a little controversial there. You can read up on it more. I'm not going to go into it any further because we got to stay on schedule.
Yeah, but it is very important that we tell you guys what the new rules are, because even Joe Rogan this weekend, there was a situation that happened in the fight. I forgot what it was exactly, but he wasn't even sure of the rules for it. So it's always good to stay on top of any new rule that comes out. And before we get into the next segment, which is going to be a fun segment that me and Ted came up with for everyone, it's an interactive segment. Finally, we got to an interactive segment with you guys where we talk about movies, MMA in the movies. And before we get into that, I just want to let everyone know that I am going to be having Jarena Bars on this Saturday on Pure Evil MMA. I'm going to be talking with her that afternoon, and I'll be getting that video up Saturday night for everybody. So make sure you guys subscribe down below. And of course, there's more fighter interviews. Me and Ted just talked about or got to speak with Nick Newell last week. In case you guys didn't catch that, I just want to thank Nick and everyone.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
And Heather, everyone. You guys are amazing. And I'm looking forward to the movie and interested to see how everything comes about. Ted, did you have anything you want to say about Nick or a thank you or anything?
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking with Nick Newell. You know, he had a fantastic career, very inspirational. You know, with his amputation, all the things that he was able to do, despite that, and actually, you know, turning that into like a weapon.
It was.
He was able to. He had a special guillotine that he used with his amputated arm, and so this movie, I'm very excited about the movie. We don't know a lot about it. I mean, obviously, it's going to be about his life. He didn't seem like he was that involved in it. It's kind of like somebody came along and said, "Hey, Nick, guess what? We're making a movie about you." You know, so hopefully he'll serve as a consultant, since it is about his life. You know, at the very least, you know, if he can't act in it, although he said he was interested in doing that, he wanted to play himself in the movie. Who better to play Nick Newell than Nick Newell? I don't know. It makes sense to me.
No, I just want to say thanks, Nick. We're definitely looking forward to the movie coming out. If you're a new listener, you don't know what I'm talking about, this video is down below in the video section, so definitely check it out. He has a new movie. We talked about Ninja Turtles. He just retired about 9 months ago. He has one of the most inspiring stories, so definitely check it out. And of course, Lion Fights 31 is going to be September 2nd, live on Access TV. Jarena Bars versus Angela Whitley. I interviewed Angela Whitley. Now this weekend I got to talk to Jarena Bars. And of course, you guys know who Jarena Bars is, I hope. She is one of the first women who have ever beaten Cyborg. So I'm very excited about this fight, right? Is she the very first woman to beat Cyborg in her pro career? I mean, it is Muay Thai, but
yeah. So that's Cyborg has lost in MMA, but I don't know about that about Muay Thai. I'd have to look that one up. But now there's also talk Cyborg wants to take on a boxer. There's some boxer from, I think, Norway, and you know, there's talk of that happening. So all sorts of crazy stuff going on with Cyborg.
And one more quick shout out. I want to give a shout out to General Youssef really quick. Thank you so much. We did a lot of work this week for the show with promotions, building our Pure Evil army. If you don't know what I'm talking about, guys, and you have a Twitter account, you're missing out, because we're always talking about MMA. Follow me on Twitter at evil_echo. The tag is right there. And we're always talking about MMA, every event, and of course, every Wednesday night, me and Ted. So let's get into the fun segment that we have set up for everybody. MMA in the movies.
Oh, which one did you want to? Oh, okay, because we had the year so far, but no, if you want to do MMA in the movies, well, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of MMA fighters that have been in the movies. Geez, for a number of years. I mean, I did a story years ago for I think it was Fight Magazine, and I talked about a bunch of movies that had, like, GSP was in a movie. There was this guy named Hector. Yeah, there was a guy named Hector Echevarria who was like more like a traditional Taekwondo type dude, but he was making movies, and he was putting a bunch of guys in his movies, like GSP, Rampage, and a bunch of other people. You know, it was like C-level movies, not even B. And but anyway, more recently, just the other night, I was watching Sharknado 4.
Yes.
Frank Mir was in. Lo and behold, Frank Mir was on there.
And Roy Nelson. And Roy Nelson was on there.
Okay. Yeah, and see, I didn't get that far. I missed Roy Nelson.
And you know what? I said this on the show, Ted, because I always forget. I don't know if sci-fi is on the other side of the planet for some of our viewers. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Sharknado is like a spoof kind of B movie, but it's like genius is behind it being a B movie and being lame, but having all these cameos from famous YouTubers, 80 stars, fighters, sports athletes, and of course Frank Mir and Roy Nelson were in this one. Tara Reid's the main character. It was a fun fourth installment to Sharknado.
I couldn't get through it, man. I just couldn't. But I mean, it made sense to have Frank Mir in it because, you know, he lives in Las Vegas, and he used to be a bouncer at I believe it was the Spearmint Rhino. So Frank Mir is kind of, I wouldn't say he's Mr. Las Vegas, but, you know, he's up there as far as people that have been around Las Vegas for a long time.
I don't know how big it is over in your neck of the woods, but over here on the East Coast, and of course you're on the East Coast, but over here by New York, in Connecticut, by Yale, if you want to get that serious, we have viewing parties in the city. People will be outside in neighborhoods, and they'll set up, you know, a big projector, and you know, everyone in the neighborhood will come out and watch Sharknado every year. It's always going around here, and there's even a hashtag, Sharknado Watch Party. This goes on all over the U.S. I'm pretty sure, but I've seen it around here a lot. It's a big thing if you followed it from the beginning. But you know, of course, you're mentioning GSP. GSP's been in a lot of movies, and of course, the chat room guys. If you guys know anyone that's been in movies, bring it up right now. Now's the time. That's what this is about.
Sorry, I'm just answering somebody. Somebody was talking about God Complex was talking about 12 to 6 elbows are still illegal, and then I chimed in with Jones versus Hamill, because remember John Jones got the disqualification.
Jones versus Hamill. That was Jones' only loss.
Yep.
So of course, Matt Hamill was supposed to fight this weekend coming up, Ted, at CFFC, and I just got to talk with Eddie Gordon and a couple fighters that are on that card. You guys can check that out on Cage Side Submissions. That is also on iTunes. So all my iTunes listeners out there that are watching this, definitely go check that out. You guys already know that the reason why I didn't do my Monday podcast was because I was on Cage Side Submissions to talk with some of the Ultimate Fighter Season 19, you know, veterans and fighters fighting this weekend at CFFC. So check it out on iTunes. Just search Cage Side Submissions. So what other movie stars? MMA, of course, Gina Carano. We cannot go further without mentioning her.
Oh yeah, I mean, Gina was great in Haywire. If you guys haven't seen that movie, she was fantastic in that. That's a great movie. But let me ask you this, Eddie? Did you see Batman versus Superman?
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Okay, there's a little segment. This is not really a spoiler, other than there's just a little segment in there where there's like almost like a kumite or a pit fight going on, you know, bare knuckle fight between two guys. One of the guys is Todd Duffy.
Nice.
UFC heavyweight Todd Duffy. He's got a tattoo on his. Todd Duffy has a tattoo on his back, but they like made it bigger for the movie. Unless he had it redone, I don't know. But yeah, there's Todd Duffy's in Batman vs Superman.
Did you like it? Did you like that movie? Did you like?
I liked it a lot,
vs.
actually.
Superman?
I liked it a lot. I think Ben Affleck is becoming my my favorite Batman, because I love the training, the training scene in it. You got to see that. It's like. He's flipping tires, and he's banging them with the sledgehammer, and he's doing weighted pull-ups and all sorts of crazy stuff, man. It's almost like an MMA.
I mean, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really say, Ted. But I don't think there's going to be a better Batman than Christian Bale. Just all the work that he put into that role was amazing.
No, he was good. He was good. But well, you got to see the movie, man. You got to see the movie. I mean, Affleck really built himself up. I mean, he goes about 6'3", 6'4" maybe, but he got up to like 230 for this movie.
Damn. And of course, you know, he had to do good in this movie, or else he was gonna get bombed, because when you're filling the role of Batman, when you're filling that cape, man, those boots are hard to fill. Only a select few are able to represent the Batman, you know?
Oh, absolutely. No, I think he did a great job.
That we're so mad about Ben Affleck being the new Batman. So I'm happy to hear that he did good.
No, yeah, no, I mean, I know he did crappy in Daredevil, you know, and stuff like that, but no, he delivered in this one for sure. And how about Michael Bisping in the upcoming Triple X movie?
Triple X movie, yeah.
This was yeah, not a Triple X movie. The Triple X movie. Yeah, this was the role that Conor McGregor was supposed to play this. He was supposed to, you know, fulfill some type of role in it, and then Bisping or Conor stepped away from it. He said, "Oh, I need to focus on Nate Diaz," and so Bisping stepped in to I guess play the same character that Conor McGregor was going to play. Yep. I mean, you got Bisping, who's what, 6'1", 6'2", Conor, who's about 5'9", but whatever. So we got that. We got Well, Paige was
Rampage
Paige.
Jackson. Do I see-
What about what's he going to be in?
I just saw that in the chat room. Somebody wrote
Oh,
Rampage.
the A. Yeah. Minion. Yep. The A Team, the Expendables. Yeah, Randy Couture, of course. You know, has been in a ton of movies. How about Rhonda's movies? Rhonda, didn't she sign a 3-fight movie deal with the Lifetime Network?
Yes, and I think me and you talked about this the very first time me and you ever talked on my podcast a few months back. I had you on my podcast on iTunes, and I think me and you discussed this.
Okay.
Or it might have been our first episode here on YouTube. I think we discussed this.
One or the other, but okay. Yeah. So Gina Carano with the three movie deal for Lifetime. I can't wait for the first one of those to come out. But no, wasn't she? And then what about whatever happened to Roadhouse?
Yes, I forgot about that. She was making Roadhouse, and of course, she was going to be filling in Patrick Swayze, right? Here, I'm gonna
she was gonna
zoom
be
everyone
the
into my computer really quick and show everyone who isn't watching this episode live that we do have a chat room going on every Wednesday night. You know, we have a blast here. Some of the questions here. Let's see what you guys got in here. Gina Carano in Deadpool.
Yep.
Cain Velasquez in upcoming Term Life with Vince Vaughn.
Oh, that should be interesting. And Tyron Woodley is going to be in the new Spider-Man movie.
And he was in Straight Outta Compton.
He was in
Sam.
Straight Outta Compton. I didn't get to see it, but I guess this has already been released. Fight Valley with Misha, Holly, and Cyborg.
Yes, and I'm happy that you're bringing that up. Yeah, that just came out last week. The night that Holly fought, a matter of fact, was the same night that I'm pretty sure it came out. And I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard a lot of really cool things about it, and I'm excited to see it. And there's also another show on Showtime or something about fighters, but then I heard that Nick Jonas is in it or something weird. But apparently it's good.
What is it? Is it called Kingdom? I think it's called
what?
Kingdom.
Yeah,
if I'm not
Kingdom,
mistaken.
Kingdom. What is that, on Showtime?
Yeah,
right?
I've never seen it. It's one of those. Yeah, I have HBO. I don't have the other networks, so I've never seen it. But it's gotten some acclaim. So apparently it's pretty good.
Well, that's cool. What else? What other movies have some MMA stars been in?
Oh God!
Yeah, Jonas is fighting Bieber in Bellator. I love it. And of course, guys, I just want to make a quick mention of this. CombatSportsNation.com just talked with Kimbo Slice Jr. Of course, he has the same name as his father, matter of fact. So
Baby Slice.
Baby Slice. So check that out. It's at Combat Sports Nation. So I think we're going to talk about Nick Diaz now, talking about being drugged by GSP. Or did he say it was by GSP and his team, or did he just say he was drugged, Ted?
He just said he was drugged. The video that I saw, he's sitting in a restaurant. I don't know what it looks like, an all-night diner or whatever, and he's kind of lounging in the booth. And he said it looks like you can't see it, but it looks like he's looking at maybe his phone or something. He's looking at the fight, and he's saying he thinks he was drugged, and in that fight. But it sounds like he's saying that because his performance was so crappy. It's almost like he can't come to any conclusion but that he was drugged. He's not saying how he was drugged. He's not saying what he was drugged with. He's not saying any of that. He's just saying, "Oh, I must have been drugged." Yeah. So it's just not enough there. You know what I mean? It's like we need a little bit more than that, Nick. You know, I need a little bit more evidence before I buy into that one.
Ted, chat room question really quick to cut in really quick. God Complex is saying these fighters would be stupid if they are unnatural now, and I got to agree. After Chad Mendes is suspended for 2 years, John Bones is suspended for 2 years. It doesn't matter who you are or what connections you have. If USADA is coming and you're not ready for it, bye.
Oh, I know, but I think that but people still are getting popped for it.
It's crazy, right?
Right. I mean, so I guess they're weighing it out. I mean, we've heard every excuse under the sun. Oh, it was horse meat. Oh, it was
kangaroo
what
meat. Oh, it was my inhaler. Oh, it's the Viagra. Oh, it's
right. It's the cream that I put on for my eczema or whatever. So bottom line is, it's your body. Ain't nobody else's body but your body. So you got to know every single thing that's going in that body. You got to have the list that USADA provides. So you got to know what's acceptable, what's legit, and what's not. You know, I mean, but I'm sure
that's the only way to do it, man. That's the only way to do it.
They go risk versus reward, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what Mighty Mouse says. Those are his exact words. Don't do anything. You know what I mean? Just you got to know everything that's going into your body, or else you're at risk for getting caught. And it's crazy.
You know, there's going to be fighters that are still going to try to beat the system. They're going to think that they're smarter.
All right, so Nick Diaz. Let's get back into that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he said he was drugged, and I say let's have him fight again then. You know, we had two high-profile fighters who only want big fights. You know, Nick is coming off of that suspension for the weed. GSP has been talking about coming back for a long time. Dana White doesn't believe it, but I think Dana White's just saying that. He's just saying, oh, he'll never come back. You know, only in an effort to maybe convince GSP to come back, like that he's doubting GSP, so that would motivate GSP to come back. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think he will, and I think they should match him up together.
I do want to see that matchup again. I don't want to see it right away. Who do you want to see? And I know we kind of touched on this at the beginning of the show, but we were kind of rushed of time. Who do you want to see Diaz fight, and who do you guys want to see GSP fight? They're both back. Who are they fighting now?
Well, not quite. GSP hasn't quite come back yet.
Well, yeah. But he did say that the fight is in the works with Woodley. Did you heard that?
Woodley said that. Woodley said, yeah. Woodley said it was in the works. Yeah. I haven't heard anything from anybody else. You know, but I would prefer. We kind of touched on this. I would prefer Woodley versus Wonderboy and GSP versus Diaz. That's the way I would like to see it if I was a matchmaker. But you know, of course,
that pretty much wraps up our show for the week. It's been an exciting one. Once again, guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA and ProWrestlingAuthority.com. This is Evil and Intoxicated with Eddie and Ted Check. Ted, you want to do your quick sign out?
Hey, I just appreciate everybody hanging around and participating in the chat. Even our little troll, Allison. Please come back. We'd love to have you. And yeah, just check out my channel, TEDCZECH, on YouTube. I'm throwing up videos every week, all the latest topics. Give you my opinion for what it's worth. Usually it's not worth much, but you know, I welcome all comments and criticism. So yeah, tune on in.
Definitely check out Ted's videos. Subscribe down below every Wednesday night. Evil Intoxicated. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next Wednesday.